Hey YouTube, what's going on? I'm back again with another contest entry, and this time it's going to be for another newer guy. It's been around for a while. It's Vincru12000. Um, he comments pretty much all my videos, so I felt like I had to do this contest video. It's a great idea for a contest. Really brought up some good stuff back from my childhood, and he's got a few questions. His first question is, what are some of your favorite memorable stories that you have from reading comics? And obviously there's a lot of newer stuff that come out, like Civil War and Secret Invasion, stuff like that, which I really liked. But I thought way back, so the first story that I thought of was, top of my head, was the pretty much very first comic story I ever read. And the very first two comic books I ever picked up were Captain America 298 and 299. And the story of this one is actually where Captain America is, I think it was before 298, was poisoned by the Red Skull, which turned him in, and he started aging and getting older. And obviously you see the Red Skull here, he's old, decrepit, and the funny thing about the story is I read these two back in '84 when they came out, but the conclusion in issue 300 I didn't actually get till about 10 years later. So I never actually got to read the final end of the story for 10 years. I can never find this book. I mean, around my area there wasn't too many comic book shops, and nobody really had any back issues. So it wasn't until, I said, about 10 years later where I finally got to read the conclusion. And then it kind of carries over into 301, 302, and so I read all those, but never got to read the conclusion. So it took me 10 years to read the conclusion. It's a great story. If you ever get those issues, I highly recommend them. The second great story that I remember reading from Captain America was in 318, 319, and 320, and that is the Scourge storyline, where these guys go around killing the villains, and that's a really good story. And the same thing happened. These came out in '86, which I read 318 and 319, but he said these are all newsstand copies here, but I didn't get issue 320 until about 10 years later. So it took me 10 years to finally finish reading the storyline, but still good, great issues. If you ever find them, pick them up. Highly recommend them. Well, the next things that kind of jumped in my head, was kind of memorable for me, was a story actually came on after a movie, and it's a great movie. But I think for me, the one thing about reading comic books was I was never really huge in reading growing up, but I liked to read comic books. So my mom always encouraged me to read comic books, because it actually got me reading. And in 7th grade, doing book reports, hated doing book reports. One of the big problems in school is my retention of reading, and reading something, whether it was a page, a paragraph, and then actually remembering it's always been hard for me. Even to this day, it's kind of hard for me. So reading comic books was kind of made it easier for me, obviously with the pictures and stuff, so it helped me with the story. So I know I'm trying to make this short, but I don't think it's going to happen. So in 7th grade, for a book report, instead of actually reading a book, what my teacher let me do was do a book report on comic book. And it was a 3-part limited series for the movie Dune. And I said the movie was great, and all these covers are just fantastic. There's issue 1, issue 2, and issue 3. So yeah, this is the official comic book adaptation. So yeah, that was cool. She actually let me do the book report on the comic books, so that was cool. And I think I did pretty good on that, because it was easy for me to wrap my head around the story and actually get it by seeing the visuals and kind of actually remember what's going on. So, okay, the next thing, which is that I remember reading, and obviously growing up watching Super Friends and seeing this character, and this is a little bit different, basically based off his costume, but as a 4-part miniseries, it came out in '86, and I actually would go down to my corner store, get bubblegum and candy and pop or whatever, and they actually had comic books in a little newsstand, so I bought all these there. And that was this Aquaman series. I love the blue costume. Blue's my favorite color, so love this costume. This is a pretty cool storyline. There's number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Like I said, it's been a long time since I read these. Don't remember a whole lot of the story, but I remember when I was reading them, I could not wait for the next issue to come out. And in this series, you know, I read a lot of miniseries back then. This came out in '87, and this was much better than the one that came out recently. And that is X-Men vs. Avengers. And they had, I think it's X-Men vs. Fantastic Four. There's a couple other ones that came out, but this is the one that I enjoyed the most. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. This had another series, great, highly recommended. If you ever find them, definitely pick them up. And then, so I think probably the one that struck me the most back then, probably this came out in '87. I said '87, '84 to 80, pretty much '84 to '90 was probably the part where I collected comic books the most. And I collected mostly Captain America. Didn't collect too many other titles, but this one actually got me to, you know, three different titles in '87. And it's probably, I think, probably one of the early crossovers between titles that I can remember, and that is Fall of the Mutants. They went between Uncanny X-Men, X-Factor, and New Mutants, and then they had a tie-in with Daredevil, Captain America, Fantastic Four, and Power Pack. I have the Daredevil, Captain America, so I don't have the other ones. But this is X-Men 225. So it's 225, 226. These are just awesome covers. 26, 227. Trying to make this fast. And then New Mutants 59, 60, 61, 59, 60, 61. And obviously with X-Factor, with the Forceman Apocalypse, with Archangel, it's 24, 25, and 26. And then for the hell of it, I pulled out Daredevil 252. Up until the Kurt run of Daredevil, this is the only Daredevil book I've ever buttoned. So, but I love the new Daredevil. But that's for a different video. So yeah, so those are all the not all the memorable stories I read, but those are the ones that popped in the head that I think, I think other people who haven't read stuff back in the '80s would really enjoy. So now going on to the next question, which is how do I came up with my YouTube moniker? And I answered this in my first video. And basically my name is pronounced mski361, which is kind of a mistake because it's supposed to be 3610. I guess I hit enter before I was supposed to. But anyways, the mski part is first initial of my last name, and being Polish, SKI, so M, my last name, SKI. 361. And the last question, this is a great question. It's been done in a few videos, but it's always great to help other YouTubers out by just giving them shout outs or giving other people an idea to check these guys out. And I think one of my favorite guys on here has been around for a while. It's Scott X1307. This guy does great flea market haul videos. He's been doing his best of 2013 back issue video. Was really cool. Check that out. I'll have a link for him down below. He's a great guy. And the other guy, I don't think he's done a video in a while. That's bromyne. I think he's got right around 65 videos. Definitely needs a lot more. But I'll put a link to his videos below too. But he did, I think last fall, a 24-hour comic book challenge where he stayed up the entire 24 hours and basically developed characters, drew a whole comic book in 24 hours. I don't know if he actually got the whole thing finished, but he got a lot of it done. I definitely checked it out. That was so cool. And he did updates throughout the day, and you could definitely tell he was exhausted by it was done. And kudos to his wife for letting him, to actually not give him shit and letting him do that. So yeah, definitely check him out. That's all for this video. Again, congrats to Vincru. He's a great guy. He's doing a lot of trades with people. I would love to do a trade with him. I don't think I have anything much in my collection that he would like or that he would need. He's got a huge collection. He's got more doubles to trade than I have. I have issues complete. So that's awesome. So that's it. So I guess we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.